Hello everyone and welcome back to MentFX. In this episode, I finally want to take a look at an example with a little bit of a backtest of how we got involved in this beautiful trade that, in all reality, I actually trailed my stop a little bit too aggressively and got taken out of pretty quickly. Again, in profit, however, had other people in the group that held this position and are now up a very nice it came up a total of 1 to 13. Right now it's up 1 to 12, and that's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if it's going to continue, right? We don't really care. Some of the people in the group have already partialed out on it and are just letting it run risk-free. Again, we're targeting some higher areas in here in the form of imbalances and order blocks. Most likely looking for it to at least get to this area here, which will land this trade at about 1 to 30. So this trade, or this video today, is going to basically look at how we entered this trade and how we broke it down. So for proof, here's the group. These are some looks at Bitcoin. This was some of the management on that trade. Let's find the actual time we sent this out. So here it is. So this is when we sent it out, looking at that entry at about, as you can see, this line right here on the 15 minutes. So again, if we just open this up so you guys can see the timing on that. I don't really care about showing this, but I'm doing it for those that really want to see it. January 11, 2021, time it was sent out, time price was here. We were looking at the entry off of this just for normal, just a normal entry that, you know, you're kind of guaranteed to get into, and then that very high RR lower entry that we are going to discuss today and why we're able to get this. So again, you don't always have to be entering the absolutely crazy RR. We don't always do that, but you have the opportunity to do that, and based on how you build your own trading system and how you want to trade and how you want to catch trades, or where you expect price to trade from, you'll be able to decide whether you want to take on more risk or less risk, you know, with the potential of not being able to get into the trade. But today, this trade was actually hit perfectly. So again, we'll go to that 15 minutes to show you that spring. So that's that spring right there. As you can see, here's that low, here's that move down, that low that was made with that wick giving us that spring. So again, there's that exact same low, just a different color. Don't worry about that too much. Here's the, you can't really see the other one. I don't have it on here anymore just because we didn't need it, but we can bring it up again. So the MentFX entry was from what it seems to be from this high to this low. So this is where we were pretty much looking at it just to make sure you get involved in this, right? And this was sent out, as you can see, after this high was made here, as we broke out of this accumulation, and we were able to get involved here. So again, it's all here for you. It's running now. This original entry, we took partials just above the high, as we should, because structurally and also liquidity wise, we understand that smart money could have completed their move by here when they got above this high. Why? Because liquidity lies here, and if they wanted to, they could have grabbed this, tapping into this longer term order block and trading significantly lower. So again, we were partialed and broken even at that point. So when this came back to this area, that broke us out, unless some people stayed, right? The point of this group, again, people decide how they want to manage their own trades. People manage their own trades. I send out ideas, and this is one of the ideas we had sent out. And right now we're going to basically go over, not too in depth, but basically a quick resource, a quick study as to how you can do this yourself and what you can look for. Okay, so what we did, let's actually cut this back in time. So this is going to be the first time we actually have something where we kind of play price out. Again, this has already happened, but this was sent prior. So you can see how I went about getting to this point. However, it's up to you whether or not you want to believe it. It doesn't really matter, right? To me, we called it out in the group. People in the group know. A lot of people have caught it. Some people are still in it. Some people stopped themselves out with me at profit. And now we're just waiting for future prices to unfold. So let's take a look at what we did on this and why we did it, how we formulated this trade, and what we were looking for to get involved in it. So let's play price back a little bit more, just like that. So when I was first looking at price, price was ultimately in this area right here. And what you'll notice is, very simply, price was putting in structural highs, right? Expecting a new lower high, a higher low to be formed before we continue on this continuation higher. And as you can see, we have this order block denoted here for those targets that you just saw on the lower time frames. So with this expectation, we're looking for a new low to be formed, and we're looking for it to happen at an area of liquidity or an area of an order block ultimately. And as you'll notice, we had this wick here with what we saw as pretty much equal lows, right? So we have a little bit of liquidity that lies right here below this area, and we're expecting at this point for this to at least make its way down into here before the continuation higher to get past all these highs and maybe tap into this order block before looking to come lower. So that's not important to us right now. All we know is we're looking to put in a new higher low before we continue our bullish run. Right, so institutionally, order flow is to the top side. As you all know, weekly and monthly have been insanely bullish. We've already predicted this monthly run all the way back from when price first tapped into this order block. Again, I didn't have a channel at this point, but ever since price tapped this, we were pretty much bullish on this, and any retracement was a good ability for entry on the monthly and weekly. So monthly and weekly already bullish. We don't have to really look at that. We're just tapping into some areas here, liquidating some parts of it until I'm most likely I'm looking for the higher prices. So again, don't sue me. This is just perspective only. That's your little disclaimer, and let's continue. So again, we are bullish on the monthly and weekly, and the daily was basically presenting us bullish price action, and everything for the most part was filled at what we like to call fair price. Imbalances were pretty much liquidated. All order blocks on the way up were liquidated with the exception of whatever was occurring in this area here. So that's what caught my interest. This is what I had highlighted, and that's ultimately the area that I wanted to watch for prices and for potential entry. So again, based on the type of trader you are, you could have just looked for something like this with an entry at the lows, continuations higher, and you could have had an easy 1 to 8 again, or halfway could have had an easy 1 to 17. So if we play this, I'm not sure if it taps you. Yeah, so it would have tapped you in, and you'd already be up at 1 to 5.6, right? So this was one way to be involved in this. Again, structurally, that's how you get involved. There's an order block here. So again, just by liquidity principles, came down, traded through some lows, and you could be involved in this already broken even, depending on how you want to do. But we don't just trade structure here. We also trade Wyckoff. We also trade a few other components. So we did not get involved here at all like this, but we had that area in mind. So let's break price back down a little bit, just like that. Yeah, just like that. So again, I'm gonna be switching back and forth between this to show you when we sent this, so you know that it was sent prior, and you can see the date and time and all that fun stuff if, for any of you that need it. Otherwise, just take this as learning material and enjoy it. So basically, we had these lows we were looking to get taken out before the continuations higher, and this was pretty much the last point, the last area that price could have went. So what we're gonna do really quickly is break down price all the way back to here so we can refine this area here and find out the important areas within it. So we can jump onto a 15-minute just taking a look at what we had occur in this area here. So what you'll see is you have this order block, the last move down before the move up, right? As we've always spoken about, here's your last move down before the move up. Very simple area. That's the area we're watching, right? Let's get a little bit lower just to see if we can refine that a little bit more. Maybe go to a 5-minute, take a look in here. Again, here's your last move down before the move up. Nothing really important there. Don't really have to get too crazy about it. We get down to the 1 minute, and this is how I just refine my POI sometimes, right? We zoom in on that 1 minute, take a look at what we have in here, and as you can see, price was relatively filled with the exception of this mini imbalance. Again, so we spoke about this many times on our channel. If you haven't seen it, go check out the imbalance video or the order block videos. So we had this area in mind as a potential point of interest, and additionally, as we work our way up, you'll see everything was relatively filled, and this point right here was the next place that was unfilled with a little bit of imbalance left, and price kind of ran away with us. So within our point of interest, we had these two areas where, again, you could have been looking to be a buyer. And if we go back to the daily chart, what you'll notice is, so let's zoom back in. There we go. So that's that exact same area we just looked at with the refinement. Again, you could have been a buyer technically if you really wanted to right here without any extra confirmation. Stop loss right below the low, looking to target these highs, right? I'm not even sure if this got hit. We'll take a look really quickly. Let's play this through. So yeah, price actually did tap you in if you were a part of that. And so far, price has ran a total of 1 to 14, right? So if you were involved at that last important point of interest, again, that's nothing more than a normal order block refined down to the imbalance and to its last point where price could possibly come before either continuing higher to mitigate or even break structure or to just fall back down, right? So that's what we had in mind when we were looking at this. And at this point, we still were not interested in being a buyer. So again, we did not take this trade. This is not the one we sent out. Let's delete this really quickly. So that was the potential point of interest. So again, if you just want to refine that, this was that point of interest we were interested in looking at if price ever made its way here. Otherwise, we'd just be kind of left in the dust. So let's go back to a 15-minute, just take a quick look at how price played out here. So as price began to approach this low, we began to watch it a little bit more, right? So price made its way to this low. At this point, you honestly could have been involved if you wanted to on counter trend trades downwards, right? Again, you have same principles. You have liquidity, order blocks move away, breaks, continuations upwards to mitigate those order blocks, continuations down, breaks, structure blocks being met, continuations lower, and all that fun stuff. So you could have been involved in those counter trade ideas, but you really didn't have to. Again, within that, you have your snowflake rule of potential redistributions forming with the UTAD, the breakdown, the test, right, the LPS, and so on and so forth. Not really important. Or you could have just had an alarm set here, which I did, waiting for price to come into this zone, right? So what you'll see is if we go back to this image, that's this zone right here. And at this point, we were just waiting and watching price develop as it came towards this low. So again, we'll play price forward and wait for it to make its imminent tap into that area. So again, we were still in that area, and at this point price had came and tapped into this area. So at this point we were interested in understanding what was happening. So again, most of the time, this whole thing, again, snowflake rule, there's Wyckoff here, right? There's Wyckoff in here, there's Wyckoff in here, there's Wyckoff in here, but ultimately, do we see anything that's extremely easy to see? Kind of, but not really yet, right? So at this point, I still wasn't interested in having anything happen. After seeing this low and seeing this tap in, right? So again, you could have been a buyer here already, or you could have been waiting for the confirmations like we were. So that's exactly how we formulated the approach and the entry to this. I was going to talk about this a little bit more on the weekend for those that are in the group. So we had this break up as well, and as this broke higher, at this point, I was beginning to be very interested in seeing prices continue to the top side after some kind of retracement, right? So what we had at this point is when we started to finally notice that we had the snowflake rule occur, right? So this right here was our beautiful Wyckoff schematic that you saw in the picture prior. So here's your selling climax. Again, we could go to a lower time frame to view this a little bit better. Here's your automatic rally, which was met right after the selling climax, right down to the secondary test, either one of these. That formed a bunch of inter-term intermediary liquidity, right? Again, providing people that are too emotional to get involved in these buys before the market actually came to an area where the composite man or smart money was actually starting to get involved. Your mini sign of strength, if you want to count it as that, sign of strength in B, doesn't really matter. Your ST and B, which came to liquidate these lows, right? Getting some of those people out of the market, also letting the composite man get involved, stopping just below, just before this inefficiency was met, and then the final push down into that inefficiency. So again, if you all remember, that was an order block we looked at, and if we just take 50% of that, what you'll notice is that's exactly where price tapped. So you could have technically, if you really wanted to, been involved here for buys at just the order block, and this trade would have already been at like 1 to 40 or something along those lines. But again, we didn't catch that. But the point is, the beauty of smart money is how much refinement can come into it and how much your strategy over time can develop, which is why I kind of provide this community and my mentorship for people to do exactly that and work together. That said, as this began to occur, and this occurred, and we had the breaks up, we still did not have a test ultimately, right? We had the spring and we were still expecting a test. So at this point, this is when actually it came a little bit lower, I believe, as we can see. So let's actually just play this out a little bit. There we go. Just until we can see where price was. So price was about, where was it when I sent this out? Okay, a little bit higher, right? And one more, I think. There we go. Right, so price was about here, as you can see, when this was sent out. So again, the market had already given you, and if you just waited a little bit, right? Remember the analogy we made about waiting for your friend to jump into the pool or to cliff dive before jumping after him to see if, you know, the water is deep enough to be jumping into, right? This right here, going here is what your dumb friend did. And guess what? Maybe your friend had fun doing it and now he's up a ton of money, right? And just like that, your friend could have also been involved here and now is up a ton of money, right? This can be someone that's swing trading that understands that they want to get involved in the daily and they're okay with taking that risk. But for us, we wanted to see the confirmation. So again, as price entered this area, we had Wyckoff occur. We had that other sign of strength basically play out right after the spring. And now we were looking for either that backup, whatever you want to call it, that LPS, or that test to occur. So again, no schematic is perfect. No schematic is the same. But what's important is we understand what we're looking for. So at this point, there were two options to get involved. The MentFX entry pretty much just took the general order block area and looked at this 21450 level. As you can see, the 2145, basically where we sent out the safe area to get in. So that was just about right here, right? And looking for higher prices to be met, understanding that you should potentially break even after these highs are met here, right? Because above these highs is the liquidity that needs to be met. And again, if it gets met, there is no reason that the composite man can't just take the market significantly lower, right? Even though structurally we are bullish on the monthly and the weekly, and now we're at the lowest part of a potential bullish push on the daily, does not mean that the composite man can't change that structure up and completely go another way, which is why we need to understand how important trade management is. And as smart money traders, we should understand how to properly manage our trades and partial out on the way, right? So at this point, we sent this out. And on top of that, we looked inside here for potential re-entries, because sometimes when we don't see it, we just use the MentFX entry. Other times we can look inside here to see order blocks. So in this case, you can see order blocks. There's not really any that are that nice, with the exception of this one right here. Here's your last down move before the up move, right? And again, that's almost the same entry, if not worse than the one we've already sent out. So what we did is we went a little bit deeper to take a look at what was inside here, right? So at this point, let's just back test this down a little. Actually, we don't have to. Let's not exit the back test. Let's get down to maybe a 5 minute and take a look at what surpassed inside here. So again, this same last down move to the up move is now basically this move right here, right? And now, again, you can see that it got mitigated. So that doesn't really matter. There can be multiple mitigations. You could be looking to enter here again. However, at this point, we were looking to get even lower, and we started taking a look inside of here again. So again, this is your entire Wyckoff, and now you can start to see even smaller fractal Wyckoff within it, which isn't that important. And as we get lower, you can now see the beautiful imbalance and the last actual sell candle before the up move right here. So that was actually the main move that we sent out. That was the refined entry right here, as you can see. So this is that area highlighted. Again, if we go to the 15 minute now, you'll see that area highlighted right there. And that entry ultimately lay right here, right? Just like that. Here you go. And you're looking to target new highs as well, the same way, maybe targeting that order block as we spoke about earlier for potential long-term gains. And again, targeting here for liquidity in the short term. So at this point, what happened is price came and tapped into our MentFX entry. I believe it was Asian range, so it played around in this area for a while. Just missed our entry barely on this one. However, it's still good to go. Some people caught this. You'll see what I mean in a second. As price began to take off, you might have either partialed or broken even after this high was met, or you didn't get a chance and then you got another chance here. Otherwise, you were still on this trade or broke even here, unless you were also looking for this potential entry here. So as we play out price a little bit more, you can see what price did right here. It tapped you in perfectly to that price. So again, you can see that we highlighted that order block as we were expecting it to get hit. It got tapped into absolutely perfectly. You can see price tapped into it here. If you're using CTrader, then you can allow yourself to get in not using spread, but using the actual bid price. So price could have got you in here, or if you were using it manually, you got it in, or if you were trying to enter using a normal MetaTrader broker, you might have factored in spread and added a pip or so to this to make sure you got in, because this was during, I believe, during New York today, or maybe the overlap. I'm not 100% sure. So after that, you got involved here. Again, as you can see, this trade was tapped into absolutely spot on, absolutely perfectly. And as it made its way higher, we, at this point, would either partial or break even, which we did. So right now the trade is basically running risk-free. Some people have already taken profits, especially as we got above this liquidity here, because there's no telling if the composite man wants to stop price in some order block that comes up next, within some imbalance fill that comes up next, right? But this is ultimately being held, and that's the reason for why we got this entry. So that right there is considered your real test. Right? And now if we play out price a little bit, you'll notice that we are right here. So this is live time right now. So again, yes, this is a video made on a trade after the fact, even though the trade is still technically playing. However, we had sent this out, and this is a small video basically dedicated to helping a lot of you understand how we take a higher time frame order flow and analysis and refinement and bring that down to low time frame Wyckoff synergy, right? Or confluence to get involved in the market. Now, there were some comments left on some of my videos that speak about how you can't use lower time frame because it's all noise or something along those lines. We do. You don't have to. If you use higher time frame, good for you. If you trade higher time frame successfully, that's absolutely fantastic. We like the extra confirmation. We understand how to look for that. We strive on learning how to find that, and we get involved the same way. So again, like I said, I was actually looking and trailing this trade very aggressively on the lower time frames. I think on like the 10 minutes. So I actually was looking at lower time frame breaks, and I think I was at like 1.3 or something when I trail stopped myself out. So that was really unfortunate. I should probably just let it go. Again, I'm not perfect. But either way, it was profitable for me, and for other people that held on to it, they were doing absolutely fantastic in this trade right now, and it's running a total of 1 to 12. So that was a very nice 1 to 12 that we caught based off of, as you can see, an analysis that put together a bunch of different Confluence tools. And again, you could have been involved prior, or you could have waited for that confirmation. But we at MentFX like to specialize in going a little bit deeper, waiting for that confirmation, understanding how to look for it, and then getting involved using that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this made a lot of sense. I hope this little review of a trade we took with the group shows you guys what we're kind of about, how we want to get involved, and potentially works to make your trading a lot better too. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, leave a dislike if you didn't, but let me know why, and I'll see you guys in the next one.